Thank you. The introduction that we had earlier was about Back to the Future this morning. And I do feel like Back to the Future because we are in Tesla Museum. And when I look at some of the technology that we developed, they come from Tesla. He was an inventor and a futurist around AC alternator and magnetic field. And this is kind of technology that we're using today. And today, I'd like to introduce you Centrica Business Solutions. It's not a new company. It's a new global brand that we developed and launched last month, but it's part of a much wider company. And that brand is about distributed generation, is to serve customer and to serve the change in the market, and also to meet some of the customer needs. So Centrica is a global brand. It's got over 200 years of heritage. It's got 28 million customers across 13 countries. And it's got a revenue of 32 billion euros and a market capitalization of 10 billion euros. And Centrica have a number of businesses, and Centrica, you may have heard of it, you may not, listed company. And it's got global brands that are British Gas, Bord Gas, or Direct Energy. Those are some of the names that they have in the market. But Centrica also invested into an innovation fund. And we heard earlier about Innovate or Die. And this is what the company is doing. The company have seen the change, and they're responding to that change. Otherwise, the business is going to die. And this is a very simple representation of what is happening today. We were passive user of energy. Flick the switch, and electricity came. And that came from centralized power station. But they've been built for a number of years. They are today inefficient. Government regulation and changes are forcing down the shutdown. So you got nuclear decommissioning, coal dephasing. And then about 20, 30 years ago, new technology came into place, solar, wind. But the grid infrastructure was not built to actually support those technology. And there is a little bit of a challenge. So when you look at business customer, the needs of the business customer are often 24/7. But those technologies are not always meeting those needs. So that was the birth of this business. And we moved to a new revolution. And it's the fourth revolution, Internet of Things. Today, when you go anywhere, you arrive in Budapest, you go into Google and you put best restaurant in Budapest. That's what you do. You use internet. And that's what the Google, the Facebook have been using. They monetize the data of the user. And businesses want to do the same. They want to utilize data that they are able to utilize the data of their businesses to become more competitive. But the technology that we had, so if you think of Thomas Edison that started cogeneration in the early 1900s, today, when you put the fourth revolution into that technology, you are offering a different solution to your customer. And I like to talk about, so it's quite a lot here, I don't ask you to read everything, but what I wanted to kind of bring it to your attention is that we are already starting that change in our organization. And we put three very specific pillars, which is the basis of our strategy. And the first pillar that we defined is insight. Insight is about analyzing, understanding the information, monitoring. This is smart metering. And that is that little orange piece of equipment is no bigger than an ice cube. And Tesla have created this magnetic field, and that's exactly how this metering functions. It's a clip-on to an electric cable that transmits data through a router to the internet. And then we've got a system that allows us to analyze those data. The benefit to the customer is endless because it provides them operational efficiency and performance improvement. Then we looked at optimization. Optimization, once you understand how you use your data, or how you use your energy, you are able to optimize that energy. Optimizing the energy means a number of things. It's about using your load up and down. And I gave an example earlier around a storage facility that's got a chill demand, for example, in a retail. If you turn off the chillers for 30 minutes, it will not affect any goods that are in that facility, but it will reduce some of the cost of that business, and it will also help the grid. So if you look on a global basis, in Hungary, you don't have that facility or framework, but in other European countries, the grid is so stressed that it requires businesses to turn down their load because they can't provide the supply to the demand. And once you have done those two first pillars, you move into the solution. And this is when you start looking at a bespoke solution for customer. So that is about combining cogeneration, battery solution, solar, or wind, and is implementing those technology all together as an integrated solution. Today, Centrica is the sole company that have in-house all those technology and offering and services. I heard a lot around storage today, which is quite promising because this is something that we believe strongly on it. And when you look at the way that solar operate, and I think it was a graph that's showing the peak demand of consumer, and then the sun during the day, you can see that there is an offset. And storage facility is the way to actually support that demand. But we're still looking at how much the cost is going to come down and how much the financial viability will work for our customer. So there is a changing landscape in the energy world and for our business customer. There is a need for more compliance, regulatory compliance. So providing insight allow those customers to strengthen that compliance from a national but also from a European directive point of view. But it also allow the customer to perform better. Once you know how you utilize your energies, you know how you can become more efficient. Businesses are concerned today around power. Having power all the time, this is a main concern. Offering resilience to our customer is an important development for their operation. Combining all those technology, we can offer that type of resilience. And finally, is about performance. Businesses today or sustainable performance. Sustainable for me has two meanings, as a long-term financial achievement, but also an environmental achievement. Businesses have committed through their corporate social responsibility to help the world. So a lot of the presentation that we've seen earlier today around the effect of power, the effect of coal, the effect of global warming. Businesses are responsible for this, and they are responding positively in helping. And we are helping those customers to do this. So, to finalize, Centrica is today putting 700 million pounds, around 800 million euros, of investment in new technology, in new markets, and investing into projects. All of the technology that I mentioned and the pillar are startup company that the business has acquired in a view to develop those expertise internally. Because somebody mentioned, I think it was Carlo mentioned, that actually a bad idea is often a good idea, and they come up from startup. They're not afraid to try. Big businesses are afraid. And that's what we're doing. Today, we are we are developing and we are investing. And I'm hoping for the best. Thank you.